Gentlemen, welcome to the Prime Dude podcast. I'm your host, Rob Edwards. We're going to talk about shoes today. I'm going to actually do some shoe care on this one. We're going to talk about my favorite tie. We're going to talk about collar gap, and in that people need to settle down about it. I'm not going to rain on about collar gap. I think I'm never going to post anything about it. It's been overposted, overshared, along with some other things that are just sort of made up. And it's real. It's a sign of a poor fit, yes, but everybody's a critic, right? So we're going to go into that because there was a recent example from James Bond, Daniel Craig, at an award ceremony where everybody's like, "Oh, collar gap! Oh my gosh, collar gap! How can Daniel Craig have collar gap?" And first of all, it's a still frame photo. We'll get into that. That's what we're going to start with. Got a couple shoes back there to talk about. One from Blackbird, my first Blackbird shoe, hand welted in India. Going to tell you a bit why I picked that one. I can't wait to do the review. Of course, my Bridlin India made shoe is coming. My review. I just posted the article review on my website, primedude.com. It's actually the most recent post, and you can just search. I put a search engine on there, so you can just type in Bridlin and it'll pop up, or go to the shoe reviews page. I've got a bunch there, and it's where I keep adding them. But first, the shoe I'm holding is from Meslin, and it's a really fun burgundy loafer, right? You've got the Meslin logo. They're famous for that. Some people don't like it. I do. It's very subtle. And this is not Goodyear welted. This is Blake stitched. And before I get into collar gap, let's talk a little bit about Blake stitch, because I'm going to do a show comparing Blake stitch to Goodyear welted. It seems in the shoe world, everybody agrees Goodyear welted is best or better. Sure, for most people. I think everybody needs to settle down, because Beckett Simonon, as you know, I talked a bit about their shoes last week and have done a review show already. I'm going to do one specific to the Dean Oxfords soon, but they are probably leading the world right now in just talk and buzz, and they're a Blake stitch shoe. They don't do any Goodyear welting. They're more comfortable out of the box. Blake stitched are. And yes, you cannot recraft them, resole them, really in any way you can, I guess, but not like you can Goodyear welted, because the welt and the sole stitched to it, and it just makes it easier for a cobbler to recraft. Of course, just brushing initially my burgundy shoe here. And so, yeah, if you're going to own the shoe for 30 or 40 years and wear it often, Blake stitch is better. But I'll talk to you about why Goodyear welted is better, but I'll talk about why Blake stitched is also a great option, and why I own so many Blake stitch shoes. But yeah, it's interesting, hand welt, good welt, fantastic. But Bridlin, I think Blackbird does too. Bridlin has Blake stitch shoes at a lower cost, and we're talking $100. And these are beautiful shoes, loafers, Oxfords, and you can certainly rely on those. But shifting gears away from the shoe, as I do all the time, a little bit of weave here. Collar gap. I'll try to find the picture and put it up here. But Daniel Craig, I think it was the recent Academy Awards, Saphir Renovateur. He was on the, what do they call it, on the walkway, the runway, as they enter the ceremony. He's doing pictures, and he had a collar gap in one of the photos. Now, first of all, it was a still frame photo. You have to always beware of still frame for yourself or for others. You catch angles, odd facial expressions, and clothing will let you down in still frame all the time. What do I mean? Yes, there is a collar gap in the photo, but and Oki was asked this on his show, and I don't want to say I was not disappointed, but I was a bit surprised he didn't go there. Meaning he didn't want to talk specifically about the jacket, why it did not fit or why it might not have fit properly on Daniel Craig's body, because it was a well-known tailor, well-known suit maker. I can't remember if it was Anderson and Shepard he mentioned, but he didn't want to go there. He's got brushing now. Has relationships, and I guess he didn't want to touch it. I thought he had an easy out on that one, and it's what I would say is that stylists typically pick these suits. They're almost never bespoke, nor even made to measure. Now, these stylists have Daniel Craig's measurements, so it was made for his body, probably. He's got a pretty straightforward, super fit body, and with that, it was a still frame photo. It looked like, remember, he was kind of turning, and the jacket neck is going to move a little. There's going to be space created. And that was pretty significant, and it could have been poor tailoring to his body. But of course, YouTube blows up, social media. Oh, it's collar gap, collar gap. You guys, I mean, a little gap's going to happen with movement. And again, it's still frame photos. So beware if you post things of the collar gap crew. They're out there. You're probably watching. I don't like how it looks either. I want to avoid it in tailoring. But just understand that Daniel Craig is a fashionable guy. His style is definitely more Italian. Fit suits, higher hemmed pants. He's also he's one of the few people that has his jacket sleeves altered way too short. He has way too much shirt sleeve showing in every picture I've seen with him, any kind of jacket on, dinner jacket, and almost movement restriction in the tightness of his sleeves, which is strange, but that is a thing now. That is a style, right? People, especially fit people with muscles, want their physique to show through their tailoring, which just isn't the point of tailoring and having some kind of drape and consistent shape and form in a jacket as it flows down to the slacks of a suit, or even an odd jacket or a blazer. You want an even drape. You don't need drape that Oki talks about. I think for me, that would be too much, a true drape cut. And we can talk a little bit about that now. I think it's preference, and it's the kind of style versus fashion discussion that I think every man needs to consider. For me, I definitely at one point used to wear suits and jackets and slacks too tight, especially slacks for someone with slender legs like I have. It just looks ridiculous. And I was always careful. I never went skinny fit, but even then what I thought was a good fit was still too slim going back a few years. And now I've learned just to have I want an even flow of the slacks down from the end and waist of my jacket. Or when I'm wearing a shirt too, I don't want things to taper down, right? I don't want an upside down triangle look, because I lift weights and I do legs, right? Legs are hard to grow. Anything you do on the body, lifting resistance wise, you have to really lift heavy to add muscle mass and to maintain muscle mass on the legs. For someone built with skinny legs, it's very hard. It's not impossible. But at my age, I'm 48 years old. I'm not trying to do that anymore. My knees, my joints can't take it. So I stick with very even tapering, nice drape. And I think that's a great style, a great way to wear suits. I think it is the proper way. But again, your style matters for you. What is comfortable for you? What are you comfortable in is a big part of what you should wear. And so Daniel Craig's comfortable in a more slim-fitting Italian-style suit and jacket, and good for him. He's Daniel Craig. I'm not going to give him any advice. It's funny that anybody would. Once you've played James Bond, and his James Bond wasn't about the tailoring. His James Bond was about jumping from more explosions, a lot more action, like big-time Mission Impossible action. You have to understand, the Daniel Craig James Bond era came out during the excitement and growth and explosion of Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. And you look at the first Mission Impossible, which came out in the 96. I saw that in the theater and everyone was blown away. It evolved into a John Fuqua, the director. A super, intense, like Asia prime action movie that had great scripts, great acting, but he was going for Antoine Fuqua, if I'm saying it right, and I know he directed a couple, big time explosive action. And so when the James Bond movies evolved from Pierce Brosnan to Daniel Craig, and you had the first one, Casino Royale, it was pretty action packed, but then they really stepped it up. So Daniel Craig's James Bond was a lot like Ethan Hunt, right? It was very much the later Ethan Hunt action, and those were direct competing franchises. So Daniel Craig was never, by the way, I'd already applied the burgundy, right? I can't remember if I told you, burgundy shoe cream polish from Saphir. Just brushing that in and take a little breather. But yeah, so give him a little slack on the the collar gap, right? Gonna let the shoe cream polish sit for a moment on the meslin, just real quick here. Just a nice little even even we can say shine, right? So we have the Saphir Renovateur and the Saphir Burgundy shoe cream polish. And while we talk, always try to remember to put lids, at least set them on top so the product doesn't get dried out, especially for your wax-based shoe polishes, right? They will dry out, and a lot of times I have a fan on, right, because it gets warm in here, and so you got to be real careful. So just priming up, I've got the, I think it's actually Burgundy, yeah, not Bordeaux, the Burgundy Saphir wax polish, right? So Blackbird shoes, I mentioned them already. If I didn't, I thought I did. This is my first Blackbird shoes. They're made in India, whole thing crafted by our friends in India, just like Bridlin, who I talked about last week. Really excited. I was looking for a rubber sole, like a Danite, if you know the Danite sole that Alan Edmonds has made famous. Whoops. This is a black Derby. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it is hand welted. It actually says it right here. And I didn't talk a lot about that last week. Bridlin also boasts hand welted shoes, and I did just publish on my website, primedude.com, my Bridlin shoe review, the Balmoral Museum Brown Calf Oxford. And so I'll do the same here. And of course, I'm going to do shows for both. I'm not going to combine. I thought I was going to do an India shoe show, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually just stick with a Bridlin and then, of course, a Blackbird dress shoe review. But I needed an everyday, well-built work shoe. When I say work shoe, for me, it means I can get on and off a plane. It's going to be versatile and go with a lot of things. I think a Derby like this, right? You've got a classic Derby design with the lacing system on the outside. Just a plain, simple, but beautiful leather, high quality. You can tell right out of the box. And of course, I have an unboxing video that I'll do with the video review. But I did want the contrast. I like that in a Derby when you see the brown and black contrast. Now, this was something I remember Doc Martens made famous. Of course, they didn't, but I just remember that as a kid, when the Dr. Martens or Doc Martens shoes came out, which are they're big. They were huge in the 90s, so popular. This kind of is a nostalgia thing for me, but of course, a lot sleeker design, not as big and bulky and more dressy than a Dr. Marten. But this is a versatile shoe, even with the rubber sole. You know, they have this nice, a lot of the shoes now, they design it with the heel stack look here. I think this will go great with slacks, definitely chinos and jeans. But for me, I most often fly and travel in chinos or dress pants of a casual nature. I've got some cotton washable dress pants coming from Proper Cloth. They're actually in a sage green. I think this would work depending on the jacket and shirt. I think anything dress pant with an odd jacket and this, you know, factoring in what colors, definitely for me would work. Suits, casual suit, cotton suit, sure. Cotton linen, even cotton wool mix, but I think more formal suit, I'd steer clear of a Derby. Go to your Oxfords or your dressier loafers even, horsebit or whatever. For this, I'd stay more to the business casual, smart casual for sure. And so I think, you know, you're in good shape there. Also have an article on smart casual versus business casual on the Prime Dude website. All you have to do is go to the search engine and type smart or business, and you're going to get a number of articles with that keyword. But really excited to wear this. Of course, I have to wait till I do the review and film everything before I get to wear these shoes, which drives me nuts because, you know, when you get them out of the box, you want a chance to wear them right away. And that's one of the downsides of doing this. You know, I want to review it and show it to you without any use on it. Then, of course, after, like I've done with a couple of my recent reviews, my TLB Majorca will be cut today, and I'll have that released late this week. But I've had a chance to wear it. So part of my review is not just the unboxing. It's not just examining the stitching, the construction, the style, the design, but it's also, of course, bringing to you the comfort, how long it's taking to break in. And of course, you know, if you're seeing this, you know, a year later, or you see a shoe review about a year later, you'll be able to ask me what I think, and you should be able to find at least a YouTube short where I'm going to be following up on how these shoes performed. Speaking of shoes, I've actually got my favorite tie over here. Going to keep my hands a little clean on my new Stefano Bemmer apron. For the record, I do not own anything other than this from Stefano Bemmer. If you go to the website, you'll see why. This was sent to me by a friend, a mentor, somebody I've gotten to know fairly recently, but gotten to know well. He is from India. I mentioned him last week, and he is quite the connoisseur of bespoke clothing to include shoes. and he's a regular at Stefano Bemmer, I believe their New York location. And so, as you guys see this, you're probably wondering what the hell, hang tight. But so yeah, he was nice enough, as he knows about what I'm doing and has for a while. He had them send this to me, so really exciting. Just nice touch. But one day I'm thinking a blazer from Stefano Bemmer. Right now I've got so many blazers that I'm going to run out of space because I want to review them for you. So this is an Allen Edmonds shoe. As you know from the last podcast and other discussions I've had, I'm a fan of Allen Edmonds. I can be tough on them. They've had some quality issues since they were bought out and expanded, and they have shoes made in the Dominican Republic now. They're not all made in Port Washington, Wisconsin, where they were before. This is, I think, it has to be my most disappointing trend in footwear. I own a couple of these hybrid sneaker dress shoes. I actually have a blog or two from last year where I talk about them in a positive light. I guess I do believe they have their place. They're obviously big on some cable news programs, on sports. Athletes love these. I mean, they do feel like a sneaker. They're built on a sneaker sole. But to have a brogue Oxford or Derby style, like this is based on the Park Avenue Derby style, just kind of plopped on. It's lightweight. I don't know. The quality of leather is not strong. I've worn this maybe 3 times. I do think these could be done away with. But comment and tell me if you like these. I get it. You're probably having to move around a lot. There are better options out there for less money. I mean, this could be like, I think this cost me $350. So when I talk about in the core of my show, learn from my mistakes, this is one of them. Don't wear sneakers with suits or slacks ever. And I feel like a hybrid sneaker dress shoe is just cheating that rule. And I think there are some rules that need to be followed. I feel like if you're wearing sneakers with a suit, you played in the NFL or you're on ESPN or Fox Sports. And again, I am a global sports fan. So a lot of times when I say football, I'm referring to soccer, and I don't see the commentators, the pundits for the English Premier League wearing anything of the sort. They would not be caught dead or alive or in any state in between wearing a sneaker dress shoe, right? I mean, these are our English friends, and they are part of our core of our gentleman's fashion. And so I think our American friends in sports should take heed, because too many of them are seen. Now, a lot of times in the U.S., they're doing active things. And I think if the guys in the EPL shows, on NBC Sports, on the Universal, I think that's where I'm always watching EPL. USA Network carries a number of matches, but it's our friends overseas in most cases. If they're getting onto some turf on the show to walk through some plays, they're probably in dress shoes that are maybe close to being hybrids, but I can't remember seeing it. So just for us, for the regular folk, right, it's tempting from a comfort standpoint. Just steer clear. I would say look at, if you really need something and you're on like factory concrete floors, give me 1 second. I'm actually going to go grab something. I'll show you a sneaker dress shoe that I think is a little better. And then they came out with a model that, and actually have a affiliate code for Amberjack. So let me go show you my Amberjack dress shoe and make that recommendation for some of you that might need something like that doesn't look so much like a sneaker. Okay, here it is. This is from a company in the US called Amberjack, and you can see a difference here right away. One, notice the sole, right? So they're both sneaker soles, but at least Amberjack goes with a dark brown and then a dark cream, right, to blend a bit, right? So it's an Oxford, right? It is an Oxford design shoe. You got this cap toe with broguing, and from a distance, this shines pretty well. I've not cared for it in a great deal. I mean, it's a hybrid shoe, but this is the most comfortable shoe I've ever put on out of the box. This shoe is built very strong. Amberjack is very proud. It's got flexibility, but durability, and it is designed to be an everyday workhorse shoe to the point where you can run a marathon in this. You could run long distance. It's that comfortable. So for people, and those of us, the shoe world needs to take it easy on folks that are looking for right away comfort out of the box. Amberjack does that, and think what you ought to consider if you're, again, working on a factory room floor most of the day, but have to go into a boardroom like setting and need to look dressy. You're in slacks. You're somebody that's looking for really comfortable slacks like those from a company called Hammermade. I mean, they're stretchy, they're like pajama pants, but you still might have to meet with a client in a boardroom setting, or clients visit you. So you're in a dress shirt and slacks, you're in a hot area in the factory, but you're the leader. And now you're going up to meet with somebody, you're going to throw a tie and jacket on. If you're not in that business, guys, you don't know what it's like. I've been in that situation. And if you're in a standard dress shoe, I don't care how much money you've spent on something nice like this, a leather sole is going to start feeling uncomfortable even when you've broken it in if you're standing on hard floors. So Amberjack has just come out with an even darker sole. I think they're wanting to make it look a little dressier. Again, this is an Oxford. It's not low quality leather. Is it Vachetta leather from Argentina? Is it from the NNA in France? That tannery? No, but it's really held up nicely. I've had this for over a year, and I've worn it a number of times when I know I'm going to be on a showroom floor that's made of concrete for a long time. Guys, you can wear this with just about anything in those situations. It's a dark enough brown. You're going to be fine. So I wanted to share that with you because it's a great shoe company, Amberjack. I'll put a link down in the description for you, and you can check it out, especially if you're in those scenarios. But if you need to replace this like I do, replace it with what I just showed you. Definitely recommend. My favorite new tie. This is from Brooks Brothers, and it's orange. Now, I'd never owned, full disclosure, I'd never owned an orange tie until this one. And I saw on Oki and another few shows how versatile orange can be, especially with your blues, with gray. You can see this is a paisley design, and it's got a little brown in it, but of course the base color that comes out is blue in the paisley. So it's just a real versatile, fun tie. It's classy. This is like a silk blend. It's soft, but it doesn't have a shiny sheen, which is great for me because 90% of the time I'm wearing a tie, I'm in a daytime business setting. And a number of my silk ties, that have that formal sheen to it, they look too formal in a daytime setting, in my opinion. So I like this sort of matte look there's some cotton in there, I believe. And it's just a real nice tie from Brooks Brothers. Again, orange, and luckily, I'd wipe my hands on the apron, on my Stefano Bemmer apron, so that I didn't just get burgundy on my shoe. To continue, I'll just give you one little tip here. So I'm about to apply my Saphir wax polish to this loafer, and as you saw, maybe this Meslin loafer, as I weave back to it, has a high shine standard leather cap toe with deer skin, right? So the vamp of the shoe is a deer skin, right? It has that pebbling looking look, and then you got the quality leather cap toe that is very, very durable, very hard, also very comfortable. This broke in real nice. Again, it's a Blake stitch shoe, which is no problem. And if you don't like getting the wax polish, I got this tip from the Chaps Guide. Great show. If you don't already subscribe to it, he's amazing. Take this makeup removal, what it looks like, his little disc cloth. I can't remember what it's called. I'm not removing makeup very often, ever, but that's okay. Guys wear makeup sometimes, to each to his own. Burgundy, right? This is the burgundy wax polish. And I take the flat side. There's a bumpy, rigid side. I notice the cotton kind of gets stuck. Just take the flat side, a little bit of it here. That way you can avoid, and I'm just going to put it on the toe, right? And just rub it in. I'm going to let it sit a second before we finish up here. But yeah, these makeup removal swabs, they're real cheap. I got a bunch of them here at the shoe table in the drawer. And so I'm just going to let this sit a little bit before we brush it. Of course, putting the lid on my wax polish. Don't want that drying out. So we've covered a lot. I want to close with style versus fashion. And a show I'm going to do, I've noticed a number of shows. The Chaps Guide had one. I kind of see these YouTubers following themes, is that people sometimes get a hard time when they start dressing up. And I want to say this, I'll make sure the title has something about this. because I should have maybe opened with it, but I'm going to make these podcasts a little more casual than my formal shows. If you start dressing nicer, if you improve your style, and anybody gives you a hard time, they are not your friend, they are not your colleague, and you should be grateful that you've leaned in and improved your style, not simply for the fact that you have exposed someone in your life that doesn't support you. Now, if you're making a wholehearted, immediate style change, you're going from t-shirt and shorts to three-piece suit with a pocket square and a beautiful tie, go for it. No one should make you feel bad about improving how you look. Just be ready for a little shock and awe. Now, I'll give you the one secret that I've learned is that in any time, in really the last few years, I've really leaned into my style. The women in my life are the most supportive. Women will always come to a guy because they're not as hard as us as they are on themselves and say, that's a fantastic jacket. I love that tie. Wow, you look really nice. You get that validation. You will every time. That's what's so important about being around women when you make these steps that might feel risky with your fashion, with improving your style. I'm going to do a show on how to do that gradually in case you want to do that. It's as simple as going from a polo to a polo and a blazer, from a polo and jeans to a polo and chinos, then adding the blazer, and working your way up to where then you have your first evening event, and then you can kind of dive in. But then it's not going from t-shirt and shorts to a tuxedo, right? Or to a dinner jacket situation, but you're preparing your audience, right? Gradually molding your image in their eyes so that all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden, without realizing, you have become this fashionable juggernaut, right? Within a month or 2 months, however you want to do it. Now, some of you, not I, some of you like to shock people or are ready to do it. Go for it. And pay attention to who supports you and who doesn't. I've noticed this. I've seen it. I put a stop to it. I've stepped in. When somebody makes a risk investment in how they look or they want to change their style and improve it, people will give you a hard time. It happens to worse. It's worse for those of you in high school and grade school. I think you call it secondary school overseas. Be ready, but be bold. And just know that anybody who doesn't support you, you don't need them in your life. So fashion is more about what's happening, what's in, right? The skinny fit, all those things. I see it dying out. I see more drape cut. But I think as fashions change, classic style will always remain for men. So lean into that. You can't go wrong. And find something that you like to start with, gradually go better or improve. And of course, drop in the comments or ask questions. You can email me, rob@primedude.com. It's on the website. Let me know what you think. I'm going to do a show because it's something I did. I gradually got to a point now where amongst my colleagues and the few friends I have, I'm somebody they go to for fashion advice and for style advice, men only. For the women, for those of you that might be watching, welcome. But I can't help you. So I've just done some waxing. This shoe, especially the cap toe or the toe cap, really always polishes up nicely, and that's just the wax polish. And I'm going to do another attempt at a mirror shine. I'm getting better with that. I am not YouTube show ready for the mirror shine, but we'll get there. Any questions, guys, drop them down below. Thanks again for tuning into the podcast. Remember, be confident. Be yourself, be something that you want to be, act and perform at the next level you want to be at, whatever that is, in relationships and jobs. Be a good listener, and please like and subscribe this episode and subscribe to the show. Drop comments below, give me feedback. I always enjoy what I'm already seeing from the first podcast comments. And just again, thanks for the support, guys. We've grown. We're over a few thousand subscribers now, getting a lot of interaction, getting some great comments. And so I do appreciate the feedback. And of course, as always, stay prime. Thanks for tuning in.